Good evening. I'd like to call the city council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, October 10th at 7:07 at Olivet City Hall and 1140 Dealman Road. I'd like to take roll call first, please.
Mayor Weil,
Present.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Here.
Councilmember Clark, Councilmember Carl,
Here.
Councilmember Knox.
Here.
Next item, please.
Item number 2, communications. We have no written communications.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to call on Beverly Tucker Knight to introduce a new employee.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I am thrilled this evening to introduce you to TJ Beasley. TJ is our new Recreation Facilities Supervisor, and I have a short bio to read you, which is very exciting. So TJ was actually born and raised in Baldwin, and she received her undergraduate degree in outdoor recreation at Southeast Missouri State University. She then received her master's degree in movement and leisure sciences at the University of Idaho. TJ comes to Olivet from Duke Recreation and Physical Education, where she was the coordinator of outdoor adventures. And that's Duke University in North Carolina. Get my colleges correct. TJ enjoys spending her free time with her family, reading, and going on adventures like camping, climbing, paddling, and hiking. TJ has visited all of the states and national parks in the lower 48. She strongly believes in the power of parks and recreation and the opportunities for personal growth, creating connections, and disconnecting from the everyday hustle and bustle of life. So we are thrilled to have her join our team, and she really empowers or what's the word I'm looking for? She really adheres to our motto of creating community through people, parks, and programs. And she truly believes that parks make life better. So we're absolutely thrilled to have her.
Great.
So TJ.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Did you have anything you want to add, or you're?
I'm just excited to be part of the Olivet community.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We do have 2 swearing ins, and we'll begin those at this time. We're going to begin with Matt Spafford. Okay, hiding over there. Matt grew up in Florissant and graduated with honors from the University of Missouri in St. Louis, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts in Communication and Certificate in Public Relations. After working in his field for a time, Matt chose to pursue a career as a firefighter paramedic. He believed that his background in communication could be an asset in the role, and that the role offered an opportunity to make more direct and positive impact. Over the past 4 years, Matt earned his EMT and paramedic licenses. While an EMTB, he had the unique opportunity to travel to New York City to assist with the FEMA EMS response during the height of the pandemic. As a paramedic, he worked with a local ambulance company as well as the emergency room of a local hospital. Matt graduated from the St. Louis Fire Academy in July, and his interests include sports, spending time with outdoors, and with family. And I believe your parents are
They're
watching.
Zoom link.
So it's so welcome, Mom and Dad. I, Matt Spafford,
I, Matt Spafford,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all of the qualifications
that I possess all of the qualifications
prescribed by law for the position of
prescribed by law for the position of
firefighter paramedic in the city of Olivet.
firefighter paramedic for the city of Olivet,
That I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and the Constitution of the United States and
And-
the state of Missouri,
and the Constitution of the United States and the state of Missouri,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Olivet,
of the city of Olivet,
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of this office.
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of this office. Thank you.
Fire Chief Tim Bain to. If his family can't be here, his other family should take a picture with her. Okay. And here you go. Is your mom doing better? Good. Thank God. Good. Okay. And next, we're gonna do Lindsay Wright. Lindsay's being sworn in tonight as a patrol officer. She is originally from Charleston, South Carolina, where she spent almost 10 years in law enforcement with two South Carolina agencies. She has a bachelor's and master's degree in criminal justice from Charleston, South Carolina University. Did I say that right? Southern University. Lindsay is currently finishing her PhD in criminal justice administration and leadership through Nova Southeastern University. She has experience as a field training officer, crisis negotiator, detective, bicycle patrol, patrol corporal, patrol sergeant, and patrol lieutenant. She also served briefly as a member of the Infant Death Task Force for Human Trafficking Task Force for the Charleston area. Lindsay and her husband have been married for 7 years and moved to St. Louis area to be closer to her husband's family. They brought with them their small zoo consisting of 8 dogs, 2 big pigs, 3 cats, and 3 geckos. She is hoping to acquire more goat and a miniature cow after settling in. We'll back up closer to the mic. If you just raise your right arm. I, Lindsay Wright,
I, Lindsay Wright,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all the qualifications to serve as a police officer
that I possess all of the qualifications to serve as a police officer
for the city of Olivet, St. Louis, Missouri,
for the city of Olivet, St. Louis, Missouri,
that I support the Constitution of the United States
that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri
and the state of Missouri
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Olivet,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Olivet,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of this office
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of this office
by abiding by the law enforcement code of ethics.
by abiding by the law enforcement code of ethics.
I recognize the badge of my office
I recognize the badge of my office
as a symbol of public faith,
as a symbol of public faith,
and I accept it as a public trust
and I accept it as a public trust
to be held and honored.
to be held and honored.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So the question is, do you make it? We put parks first to stall.
I appreciate it.
So, congratulations, and, unfortunately, your husband's not, oh, you want another one? Unfortunately, her husband, is still on the road into, he stalled, so if the police officer is present, will all come forward. Like Matt, you'll take your picture with your new family.
We doing
Thank you.
Please let the record reflect that Sydney Clark has arrived and is at the dais. Next item, please.
Item number 3, city manager's report.
All right, good evening, everybody. The first item is the dashboard for the 5 Oaks on Warson and the Warson Park project. The good news is that the city received temporary occupancy late last week. And so staff have been slowly moving in and working over at the center as they are able, and they are getting ready for the public. The very soft opening is November 1, and the ribbon cutting is November 5th from 1 to 4 or 5 p.m. We'll be pushing more information out as the date gets closer. Some of the last things that need to be completed are the indoor playground flooring, the multi-purpose wall covering. They were waiting for some glue to put those on the panel doors, and then furniture installation and some landscaping items. There haven't been any new submittals or requests for information. There are a couple new change orders down at the bottom. PCO 119, moving the existing lights in the multi-purpose room. PCO 124, we needed to change a trash receptacle. And then PCO 125 are the ADA buttons on the front door. No real changes to contingency and allowances. The pay applications is 99.75% complete according to the construction value. And then the last few things that the city needs to take care of really is that the glue, getting that furniture installed. We expect the rest of the furniture to be delivered later this week, and then continuing to do the IT work. Our IT person has been up there getting the phones ready, getting the computers hooked up. So they've been working diligently on that. Any questions on this dashboard? Okay.
Looks great. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Whoops. So we'll just go through a couple of pictures. This is the entrance. This is the parents' room. So this is a place for parents to take their small children or nursing moms, change diapers. This is the gymnasium, and you can see the furniture that is currently being stored in the gymnasium until all the office areas and all the other areas are ready for that to be installed. This is the aerobics or yoga or dance class room. And as you can see, these are all the cabinets. And this is beautiful flooring that looks like wood that has been sliced. Cardio equipment and weight equipment. And then this is on the Warson Park. This is the splash pad. The dashboard for the Gateway I-170, also known as Olive Crossing. So most of the streetlights are working. and crews are working on the pedestrian buttons. And I think some of those pedestrian buttons are working. So that's a good progress. MoDOT has finally signed off on the last few things that they needed to sign off on, one of which I believe is the retaining wall. So we expect that work will start on that retaining wall, which is at Price and Olive, and that's one of the reasons that that lane continues to be blocked off there at Price and Olive. So once they get that retaining wall in, they'll be able to open that lane, and they're going to do some striping on Olive, and then there's some last minute concrete work on the sidewalk and the GRG trail that we expect those crews to be working on. Lot 3, they have gotten their permit through the city, and they picked it up last week, and they are expecting to start mobilizing construction crews later this month on the site. So this is that outlot at the corner. Here's Olive, here's the ramp onto 170. So it's this lot right here. This is the little retail building where Paris Baguette's gonna go. So we're pretty excited to see that building come up out of the ground. Lot 4 is the apartment complex. So they had their grand opening last Tuesday. And as of Wednesday, they had 24 units occupied. They're continuing to get those units online and inspected for occupancy. Lots 1 and 2, he's continuing to work with a potential tenant. Those negotiations are nearing completion. And as I understand it, the potential tenant is working on their engineering and some architectural stuff, so that as soon as those lease negotiations are finished, then they can submit to the planning department for review. Lot 5 is the office building. Not a lot new on this particular lot. He still is working to get prospective tenants, and he's awaiting their responses. And then lot 6 is the hotel. And again, they've gotten that franchise agreement changed so that it'll be a Marriott Courtyard, and those documents have all been signed. So we are awaiting that. And it's my understanding that they want to get lot 5 up and out of the ground before they start working on lot 6, so that hotel guests aren't driving through construction. So some upcoming events: we have coffee with the mayor tomorrow morning at 8:45 here at the city center. Our guest is going to be Beverly Tucker Knight and our assistant parks director, Patrick McGee, and they're going to be showing a virtual tour of the new community center, 5 Oaks on Warson. So for those who haven't been able to go see it, it'll be a good opportunity to see what's coming. And then we have the Great Olivet Cleanout, Friday, October 20th in Stacy Park from 4 to 7 p.m. Bring your medications, your shredding of personal documents, and pretty much anything that has a cord that you do not want in your house any longer. There are people who will take those things for you. And then before that, on Saturday, October 14th, is the Villa Park opening. And the movie night. And so the movie this year is Pan. And so the park opening is at 6 and the movie is going to start at 6:30. So bring your families and your kids out on Saturday. News around town. Like I mentioned earlier, we were the city staff was at the grand opening of the Clover on October 4th. And as you can see, this is a lovely picture of the council with the owners and about ready to cut the ribbon there. Turkey Trot is almost upon us on Thanksgiving morning. If you register by, I believe it's the 15th, you can order a vest. 10th annual Turkey Trot special vest. So we're up to almost 300 registrants. So that is pretty good for the Turkey Trot. And then lastly, here are the upcoming meetings for the month of October. The meeting of note is that the October 19th Planning and Community Design Commission has been canceled. It is the parent-teacher conferences for the Ladue School District. And then Carlos is actually teaching a class that night for the planning course that the University of Missouri St. Louis teaches or hosts. So the commission decided to just cancel that particular meeting. Any questions?
Going back to the the recycling night, I did receive an email asking if, with the computers, if they will shred, hard drives. that a question for
I
the
don't
chief?
know. That might be a question for the chief. Yeah, we can
Okay.
find out.
Okay, thank you. I haven't heard, I've never been asked that before. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions for the city manager? What?
A good drill.
A good drill? Okay. Okay. Next item,
Item number 4, city council reports.
okay, I'll start to my left with Councilmember Carl.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Did you have the EDC
Was that?
since our last meeting?
Oh, yeah, it got rescheduled. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So yes, I went to the last EDC meeting a week ago Monday. Basically reviewed data that had come in from various sources talking about the economic plan going forward. I think that it was a good meeting, but we kind of just reviewed that data that was presented by Dawn. So, and I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Clark,
I have nothing to report at this time.
okay, in your radio voice, Councilmember Knox,
I have nothing to report.
Councilmember Chairman Pro Tem Waldman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I attended the Planning and Community Design Commission meeting of October 5th. At that meeting, our esteemed city attorney was there and present to partake in kind of going over the format and what Planning Community Design Commission does. Given that we have some newer members on the commission. Mr. Trejo also gave a presentation with regards to their roles and responsibilities with regards to site plan, design, special use permits. There was also some discussion with regards to chapter 445 in urban agriculture with regard to the bamboo. That was a rather lively conversation. Discussions of procedures and regulations when there is a change in a land use on an existing commercial property. The city manager just reported that the October 19th meeting has been canceled, postponed due to those factors identified. They did do the election of officers. Mr. Jurgel remains the chairman. Carol Wagner remains the vice chairman. And Mr. Brian Lewis is the new secretary of the board. Minutes recognized and God bless you. She sneezed on the truth, and that's pretty much the report of the Planning Community Design Commission. That's all I have to report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I had no additional meetings this month. Next week I'll be participating in the Parks Convention. Next item, please.
Item number 5, hearing from citizens.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak or online? If you're online and you wish to speak, you just need to post a hand. Okay. We'll move right along. Next item.
Item number 6, Bill 3015, an ordinance authorizing a special permit to OL3 BP Associates LLC to operate a dance studio, 2007 NAICS 6116, not to exceed 12,125 square feet at the Olivet Center, to be known as the St. Louis Academy of Dance within the tenant space addressed as 9656 Olive Boulevard, Zone COR, Commercial Retail Office District, second reading and public hearing.
Good evening, Mr. Trejo.
Good evening, Mayor. I'll wait till you close the meeting and go ahead and start.
We're going to close the meeting and open it for the public hearing. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Carlos Trejo. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development for the City of Olivet. And tonight before you, I here to talk about the public hearing and bill number 3015, which authorizes a special permit to the St. Louis Academy of Dance to locate at 9656 Olive Boulevard. That's at the Olivet Center on the west side of town. The next slide will illustrate the location. They are taking up the old Tuesday morning space. As we know, Olivet Center has been part of our community since 1950. The property's address is 9606 Olive. It's almost 5 acres with over 74,000 square feet of service and retail spaces in there. The tenant space at the far west end, formerly occupied again by Tuesday morning, is address is 9656 Olive Boulevard. It's approximately 12,000 square feet. And it's been made available, and St. Louis Academy of Dance is looking to relocate from the current facility at the 9300 block of Olive to this facility here. It will double their square footage and add additional classroom spaces to the services they provide for the community. The property is zoned COR, commercial office retail. The proposed dance studio is identified in our zoning ordinance. We use the National North American Industrial Classification System to identify uses, and they're titled as another school and instruction under the educational services. Their square footage, given that they exceed 5,000 square feet, requires a special permit, and I'll get into the details as to why that is required, and ultimately that is why they're here. The next slide will illustrate the location with a footprint imposed on top of the space that they'd be occupying. Again, it's a little over 1,200 square feet. You have a 3-dimensional image that they put together in there. They've done a fantastic job putting information and articulating the spaces and how they're being used, working with the fire marshal and our building inspectors through the process to get to this point. Again, their current location is at 9310 Olive Boulevard. I think they've been there since 2004. The current capacity that they have is 6,000 square feet in the existing building with 3 studios. Here they'll be doubling the size and offering 5 larger studios to accommodate their services. So we're excited to see them. What that does for us is open opportunities at 9310 Olive Boulevard for growing types of, growing our business along the corridor. The next slide goes over the special permit process. These are unique uses that are subject to the review and recommendation of our plan commission and then ultimate action by our city council. It provides the city the opportunity to establish additional regulations and controls to specific uses that the city may have some concerns or find necessary to accommodate by adding additional levels of conditions, reviews, or regulations in there. The reason that this is before the council is back upon the adoption of the Catalyst strategy, there was a component about curating type of tenants that the city would want to facilitate, and this is part of the process. Most retail uses over 5,000 square feet will require a special permit, and again, that gives the city a level of control and review through that process in there. Even though their existing facilities exceed the 5,000 and they're just relocating down the street, it still requires this process, and we tried to work with them as best we could to minimize any delays. The next permit, the general conditions of the special permit, it requires a site plan review. It's got to be a listed use. It has to further our goals and objectives of our comprehensive plan. Has to be suitable to the environment and its surroundings, complementary to neighboring uses in architecture, the ability to mitigate potential spillover effects like light, noise, things of that nature, and allows the city to require additional conditions to be imposed that go beyond the general district and ensure that there's an adequacy of public services to support that type of use. That was reviewed by the city's Planning and Community Design Commission at its meeting back in September, and it was unanimously recommended to forward the request to the city council. The next slide is the commission's recommendations. Approved the site plan review. There was no additional conditions beyond those that were brought through the site plan process, and the only request was to continue to work with Bianco Properties on finding ways to improve the Olive Boulevard streetscape and the traffic patterns on that site. And we've had various conversations with Bianco over the years and know it's a major expense. They have the longest length of property along the Olive Boulevard corridor. And it's a pretty significant task they'll have to take on, and they've been doing it piece by piece. Finally, if I can, Mayor, enter some items into the record to make sure that these are part of the public hearing, and that'll be on the next slide. The 2006 comprehensive plan, including the 2016 catalyst strategy and the 2019 Olive Boulevard conceptual master plan. We use those as frames of references in the analysis and the review. The staff presentation memorandum to the Plan Commission dated September 21st, 2023, including the petition and supporting plans and documents, all of those being part of your packet and references in the proposed bill. The public hearing notice and affidavit of publication dated 2023 of September 25th, and the list of addresses that were notified. We notified over addresses, the full length of Olivet Center, so it was a little bit more comprehensive, all within 300 feet. Without any concerns. We received a variety of emails in support of the proposed special permit use when it was going through the Plan Commission. And then also entered the Olivet Municipal Code and the zoning map, and this presentation before the council October 10th, 2023. Mayor, I'll also note that I have representatives from the St. Louis Academy of Dance, Ms. Vasco and Ms. Edwards are in attendance, and then representing Bianco Properties is Ms. Barnett, who's new to Bianco, and it's been great to work with her this year. I think she started earlier this spring. So be glad to answer any specific questions. If not,
Does anyone in on Zoom or in the audience have any questions? Okay. Anyone up on city council? Okay. I just have a brief one, and you might be able to address it, and if not, you'll invite one of them to come up. I know when you look at the parking lot area, it seems like there's a lot more parking than they had at the previous place. Because I know that lots of times parents just line up to pick up, they don't park. So at this new location, do you anticipate them parking? Okay. Do they usually come in to get their children, or, okay, very good. Okay, very good. Are there any other questions? Okay, we'll leave,
Madam Mayor,
we have to leave our,
we got him, yep.
I'm gonna, close the public hearing, and we'll move back to our regular meeting, and regular procedures. Now I'm happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I
Yes.
make a motion to approve Bill 3015, an ordinance authorizing a special permit to OL3 BP Associates LLC to operate a dance studio under 2007 NAISC 6616 classification, not to exceed 12,125 square feet at the Olivet Center, to be known as the St. Louis Dance Academy, within the tenant space addressed as 9656 Olive Boulevard, Zone Core, Commercial Office Retail District.
Second,
Call for the vote?
Councilmember Clark,
yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill 3015 becomes ordinance 2785.
And
thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Trejo, do you want to invite them up just to introduce them formally and see if they have any, if they want to share anything?
I'm Casey Voskill. And I'm Emily Edwards. We're very excited to get out of our little corner. Thank you.
Very good. Welcome
Your
to
new
up the
space.
street.
Up the street.
Or moving up west.
Thank
Right
you.
up. Congratulations.
Thank
Are
you.
you
Excited.
familiar with Olivet policy that when you are approved of movements like this, you're required to buy us pretzel bites down at Fallon's? So
If you can find us a leasing for 9310, we'll
We'll
buy you all the pretzel bites you want.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 7, 5 Oaks Water Meter Assembly Relocation.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Tonight I'm discussing something for parks instead of Public Works. And I'd like to just sort of give a bit of history to how we got here and what we're being required to do. Prior to the Saints demolition, which was about 2010 or 2011, there was a leak determined at Warson Road, and the service was determined to go to the city of Olivet. And at the time, Missouri American, said to us, well, this either needs to be fixed or abandoned. And when we did a little bit of research into it, we figured out that there was a 6-inch ductile iron main all the way onto the property with a fire hydrant. So we did some investigation. We opened up the connection to the main at the street, and then found the leak in the grassy area just a little bit to the to the east of where the main is, on that triangular parcel just south of the is it Classic Air? And anyway, whatever company is there. We sort of made a decision that this is a valuable asset. I'm a firm believer that resources, especially water, are very important on parks property. And at the time, we knew the building was coming down, and at most I envisioned maybe a irrigation system or a restroom structure or something like that was going to go on the site. But never did I imagine where we are today with a brand new Five Oaks Community Center. During the design process way back in 2018, 19, I don't even remember when we started. We had a follow-up discussion with the team when it was brought up about whether we should build a new service onto the water mains on Warson Road. And I'll note that there are two parallel, I think 24-inch mains on the west side of Warson Road. So that's at least 3.5 lanes away from our side, our property line. And again, talked through the process and said, well, if we're going to put in a new service, we have to dig up the whole road and everything else, make a connection very complicated to these large mains, and we have to abandon our previous connection. Okay. So we we decided that we would have a 6-inch main, which is substantial. It allows us to continue to have a fire hydrant right on site, and our building service with sprinkler systems and everything that's needed for the community center. So we resolved that as a decision moving forward. And lo and behold, Missouri American had updated their policies to eliminate what they are calling segments of unmetered private main. Okay. And an unmetered private main would be similar to the service to your house. Your meter's probably in the basement if you're in an older generation house in Olivet. And there's a piece of pipe that doesn't belong to Missouri American. It belongs to the property owner. It's in the yard, and if there's a leak, the property owner has no vested interest in fixing it because they're not paying the bill. So I imagine that somewhere Missouri American had a very expensive leak of wasted water, and the powers that be said, we're moving all the meters to the property lines. So when we have these new water main replacement projects in Olivet, you'll notice that Missouri American is going around and relocating all of the meters from the basements to meter pits in the front yards at the property line. So this comes up, and I circled back and I had a handshake agreement with Missouri American that they would allow us to use the service in place. And granted, this was in 2019 that I had this commitment from them. We have a meter vault on site where the driveway bifurcates as you go in. It's called a split service vault. It has a fire flow service meter, a bypass meter assembly, and a potable service meter, which is exactly what we have here at this building installed in front of the engine bay. Well, pandemic rolls around, time passes, and the good faith of Missouri American saying we'll allow you to to continue to use those meters at the meter pit on site is no longer. You have to relocate the meter pit. So looking at this in one perspective, we would have had to do this anyway, right? We would have been obligated to do this if we had gone with a new service. It is a very expensive process because of the size. Okay, that's why this is the vault that's going in, I think, is about 12 feet. It's an poured concrete vault underground with 6-inch pipes and valves and bypass assemblies. It's called a fire flow service because it meters all of the water that goes through it as opposed to a bypass assembly. Okay. We originally had intended to construct this in late September or October this month, ran into some procurement problems. And the one item that I didn't check availability of, which was the precast concrete vault. We checked supply of valves, of piping and everything else. And we just thought the precast would not be a 12-week lead time, which it is. I've sort of pitched out a lot of information here. We did get 2 qualified bids, and before I review the bidders, does anybody have a question?
No, I think I followed.
Everyone's good. Okay, keep it trucking.
Okay, so again, as I was saying, we had originally anticipated doing this work prior to opening. Okay, and when it was determined that neither contractor, which is Bomarito, was one bidder who did the work for Wright Construction on site and is working for the Olive Crossing developer, and C.E. Bollmeyer, who's done a number of projects in town as a water main replacement contractor working for Missouri American, both qualified. Neither could meet our construction schedule. So we issued an addendum requesting more information. I sort of did a little bit of a shotgun approach. I said, what are nighttime hours? What are Saturday hours? What are Sunday hours? And give us, an alternative. What sort of schedule can you propose? You're in the business. I'm not. How can you do this to best, not impact our schedule? C.E. Bollmeyer came back with the best approach that would have a downtime of no water of 1 day versus Bomarito's proposed 4 days of being out of service. So we want to schedule this year, get it completed, but we are also going to be in that time where we're subject to the weather. So it's going to be a little bit fluid, but being able to work with 1 day outage versus 4 will give us more opportunity to fit within the park's schedule of programming at 5 Oaks.
Are there any other questions? When you talk about the water being down for 1 day, will it also be down at other buildings around the area or just?
No, just the service to the 5 Oaks site. Yeah.
No more questions? Well, I guess you're thorough. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so you need.
I would be happy to entertain a motion.
All right, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute
You
an
have to put your
agreement.
speaker on.
Oh,
It is on.
yeah. Hello? All
Much
right,
better.
I'm just not looking at it, I guess. Well, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with C.E. Bollmeyer to construct a new water meter assembly at 1200 North Warson in an amount not to exceed $81,105.
Second,
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
Motion is passed.
Thank you.
How soon will they get started?
To be determined. I would like to think maybe late November.
Okay.
But we have we are not obligated to complete the work until next spring.
Sure.
I believe our agreement with them wasn't through June of next year.
Okay,
So we have a window to plan.
okay.
I think what I'd like to do is do a little preliminary exploration in the area and make sure we have all of our material staged on site. So that we are 100% ready to go. The vault is of substantial enough size, it'll come on a tractor trailer. And be placed with a large size crane. To get into place in the excavated area.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 8, approval of Burla purchase.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor, Beth Andreski, Chief of Police. Back to talk to you again about Burla. This is the second reading for this. So this is just again, a second reading for a request for purchasing of the Burla Forensic Vehicle Download System, which was approved for the FY24 budget. So I'm going to sound very redundant in saying this and giving you this little spiel about Burla, but I'm going to go with it anyway. As you guys know, this
Excuse me.
Children.
I don't know what happened there. That's okay. As you know, the city of Olivet and region as a whole has seen a dramatic increase in stolen vehicles over about the last year. And of course, these stolen vehicles are being used to commit additional crimes, including dangerous felony crimes. These crimes have not only had a multi-million-dollar impact on insurance companies, but they're also negatively impacting the sense of security, I think, for our residents and the community as a whole. Burla technology allows investigators to extract data from the infotainment system of vehicles, and the data includes GPS information, which can associate vehicles with locations where crimes have been committed, and also identify cell phone information of suspects who have participated in these crimes. Initial software and hardware cost for the Burla technology is $10,500 plus $50 in shipping. In addition to that, the cost to train 2 investigators on the use of the software and hardware is $9,000. There's also a recurring yearly cost of $3,250 for software updates, support, and licensing. Included in this agenda item, you'll see just a kind of an overview of the Burla technology, the training overview, and the quote for everything. So just to ask a motion to approve the purchasing of the Burla Forensic Vehicle Download hardware and software, as well as approval for 2 investigators to attend the associated training.
Are there any questions? We appreciate last week the presentation at the workshop, and I think that's why we're also very comfortable with the information. So thank you.
Good.
With that, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a recommendation to approve a motion to approve the purchase of Burla Forensic Vehicle Download hardware and software, as well as the approval of 2 investigators to attend the associated training.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Item number 9, Hicks Carter Hicks contract addendum.
Okay, and I believe that Ms. Yackley's gonna tee us up on that one.
Yes, thank you. So earlier in actually last year, the city contracted with Armanino to conduct a DEI assessment for city staff. And earlier this year, the city received those results. And based on the results of the assessment, the city wanted to do some additional training based on that assessment and chose the firm Hicks Carter Hicks to do that additional training. So the council, as you know, has received harassment and unconscious bias training from Hicks Carter Hicks. And the training for staff was decided that it would wait until I came on board. And in meeting with Hicks Carter Hicks, and they received the DEI results that Armanino presented to you, we were talking to them. And they proposed doing 4 listening sessions first with the staff, kind of give the staff the opportunity to close the loop on that survey and that assessment and provide some context maybe to some of the results that were brought forward through that assessment. So the 4 listening sessions would be for all of the staff. We would make sure that frontline staff are not in the same listening session as their managers or their supervisors so that they can speak freely. I would go to the session just to introduce myself. This is a great opportunity for me to meet more of the staff, but my role would be about 2 to 3 minutes long, and I'd step in and say hello and thank you for, taking your time for doing this, and then out the door I go. Again, to allow them to have that opportunity to feel comfortable speaking without a supervisor or somebody there. So because the contract was very specific with Hicks Carter Hicks, and these 4 listening sessions are an addition to that, I felt it necessary to come back to you. 1, to let you know what we were doing, and 2, to get your authorization for this expanded scope of services. So the 4 listening sessions we would expect to happen in November, and they are an additional $7,500. So that is for preparation for the listening sessions, holding the listening sessions, compiling and summarizing those results. And then it is the goal to see what bubbles up from those listening sessions, and then base some training, future training for the staff, based on those listening sessions. So I'm asking for the council to authorize me to enter into this agreement for those 4 listening sessions.
Are there any questions? Yes.
This $7,500, is that for each session or is that
Nope,
for all
that's
4?
total. That's for all 4.
Okay, how was this firm selected?
Hicks Carter Hicks.
It's the one we worked with back in.
Hicks
Is it-
Carter Hicks
They did
was
the training.
selected before I got on board.
Okay, all right.
It was the
Thank you.
second group that we did the harassment training with and the unconscious bias.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And I also had a question. Oh, I'm sorry, Chairman Pro Tem.
I did not have a
Oh,
question.
I just want a clarification for the other council members, is that my impression or my understanding is that this does include not just the 4 listening sessions, but also coming back and meeting with the council to share with us their findings from these listening sessions.
Yes, that is in the proposal. That for some reason is not attached, and I apologize. But yes, it does. They'll
Okay.
share with you.
Great. Now I'll be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Hicks Carter Hicks to expand the scope of services of the existing agreement to provide up to 4 listening sessions as outlined in the attached proposal.
Second,
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
As long as it does not exceed $7,500, yes.
Mayor Weil,
Yes,
motion is passed.
thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 10, appointment of Jennifer Yackley to the Olivet Community Improvement District Board of Directors.
You're moving up.
And do you want to tee this one up as well, Ms. Yafley?
Sure. So the city of Olivet has a community improvement district that encompasses both Price Crossing and Olive Crossing. The city manager is a member of that board by want of their office. And so city manager Barb Sondag was on that board, and she's no longer with the city. So this is a motion to allow me to finish her term on that board.
Any questions? Okay, I'll be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I would like to recommend the following actions. The appointment to Jennifer Yackley to the Olivet CID Board of Directors with a term that will end June 16th, 2024.
Second.
Call for the vote?
Councilmember Clark,
Yeah.
Councilmember Knox,
Yeah.
Councilmember Carl,
Yeah.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
I think I'm gonna say, yeah.
Mayor Weil.
Oh, I thought Missy was gonna say, why not? Yes, yes.
I assure you, you don't want to be there, so.
Motion's passed.
I assure you, you're right.
Where did that sense of humor come from? Okay, next item, please.
Item 11, hearing from citizens, part 2.
Is there anyone left on Zoom? Then I guess we will move right along.
Item number 12, review and approval of minutes.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the city council minutes from September 26, 2023, and the work session minutes from October 3rd, 2023.
Second.
Councilmember Clark,
I was busy looking at that
Yes.
10:03. There's no dashes. Sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yeah.
Motion is passed.
Next item, please.
Item number 13, city attorney's report.
I wanted to bring something to everybody's attention. I don't think it's anything you're ever going to hear anything about, but just in case, I didn't want you to be surprised. If you recall back when Opus was Opus and they wanted to do the apartment development, the city was interested in having an entrance onto Dealman as well as onto Alice?
No, Price, not Dealman.
Price, I'm sorry, Price. And the Opus people balked because Price Road in the records of the St. Louis County Recorder of Deeds Office was a private road, and they were concerned about their right to get a curb cut and to use Price Road. So that's when we filed the lawsuit against all of the underlying property owners, and of the 15 defendants or whatever it was, 14 of them agreed to the to a judgment, but the railroad refused to agree to that. So we developed a workaround and we got a temporary judgment that satisfied the Opus people. What we were waiting for was the transfer of the railroad corridor to Great Rivers Greenway, and at that point, the plan was to substitute Great Rivers Greenway for the railroad, and then Great Rivers Greenway would consent to judgment so that we would have a final judgment, which is necessary to be binding. Well, the railroad and Great Rivers Greenway, as everybody knows, has have an agreement for the transfer of the railroad corridor, and the railroad now wants to be dismissed from the lawsuit, essentially. And they have asked for this because despite the existence of the agreement, they have to get the blessing of the Surface Transportation Board in Washington, D.C., and that can take up to as much as a year, and they don't want to wait around. And my response just yesterday was, there's an easy way out of this. All you need to do is to consent to the agreement. It's not something that they want to do for some reason or another. I do not think the railroad is going to contact anyone, but I wanted the city manager and the mayor and all of you to be aware of that possibility. If with the council's blessing, I don't think we need to have a vote on it, but if we come up with some kind of a creative way to address this issue without waiting for the Surface Transportation Board, I might entertain that if it's not too onerous for the city. And if something like that happens, I'll get in touch with the city manager and we'll figure out a direction to go in, and that might be coming back to the council. But right now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, they jammed us up for 2 years. And this is all of their own making, and they can solve it if they want to. So I'm really not inclined to dismiss them at this point. So that's where we are. Just wanted everybody to know.
Thank you very much. And
No need for a closed session this evening.
I'll be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Darren, I'm not sure who we need to let know, but